I had all intentions of being here earlier than the system.
Oh.
But the system curtailed me.
You are calling me a system?
Earlier than the system.
But the system curtailed me. I wish to apologize to the viewers. It's not in our behavior to be late, no matter the answers. But also I want to apologize to where I have passed. Though on the border we were taking a lot of machinations through the traffic from wherever we came from.
So you broke some traffic rules
with the border. They are mild rules. So
all right.
I wish to apologize.
Okay.
No matter, we are here and we shall do the best.
We beg the indulgence of the officers there. We hope the discussion here can embolden their understanding of matters so that traffic and public transport within the city can be improved. You find us talking about, or rather delving into the history of political parties and ideologies and the need for the nation to begin to understand and agree with the fact that people can switch sides when and how they want. The tendency for Ugandans is to see politicians who have switched sides as agents of turmoil. You know, they seek to destabilize establishments, both where they are living, even those that they are heading into. This is on the backdrop of latest reports. We are still treating them as reports because we are yet to verify whether the allegations made about amounts of money exchanging hands were actually true. But since you are here, the National Unity Platform has responded to these particular developments. What is happening?
By as of yesterday, well, this has been happening. I want to give the viewers a backdrop of, first of all, what are the workings of the state? From the formation of political parties, from the acceptance of the existence of political parties after the 2005 decision to open up the space, the suffocation and machination of the NRA has been both covert and overt. There are instances where they operate through isolation, imprisonment, torture, but also bribery. Now, bribery is for the leaders. You see, political parties have different classes they have different classes of people that create the membership of those parties. For example, in the NUP, we have boxers, we have artists, we have politicians, we have the informal sector,
artisan.
We have, so we have, I wanted to give you that, but the politicians always, because they create the leadership of the entire party because of their expertise of being politicians.
They are the signature for the party.
They always, they are the political administration. They are the face of the party, but the party is bigger than the politicians. Therefore, it can exist more than the politicians. So, in terms of crossing, I think it is distinctive and important for us to understand that we are defining the politicians, because the politicians, their interests, their positions, their interests, their maintaining the status quo of where they are or improving where they want to be. So most of the work is done to the rims of their interests in the jurisdiction of where they represent. In the National Unity Platform, we have had a challenge of councillors. First of all, you remember that it started in Rubaga with the 19 councillors that voted for an NRA candidate. But you can imagine that from the time we did an investigation, I was part of the team on the I was part of the investigating team of the saga in Rubaga, and we identified the 19. We know them by name. We know why they did what they did, but we have studied them since they were put on a study, and I can tell you some of them have greatly reformed. Some of them have understood the magnanimity of the issues that they stand for, why they were elected. Back then, they had been thrown into state confusion by bribing them, which we all know happens. As we discuss this, we're also discussing money from the state, bribing human beings, and yet we know that is also an illegality in itself, both from the giver and the receiver. So, over time, you know that we had leaders go to Wachiso, go to Garuga sometime at about a year and a half ago. The account of what happened to them in Garuga, many of them would not go back. So even this time, we have credible information that 4 of our councillors allegedly participated in the ongoings of what is being talked about. However, as a political party that understands and believes in the rule of law, we want to live with exemplarism. We cannot make a decision with the doctrine of fair hearing without getting their side of the story. So on our side of the investigation, we know that 4 of our people have a case to answer with us as a party, and there we shall tell the country the goings forward. But this is not in isolation of only councillors. You have seen even members of parliament. We have rogue members of parliament in our institution, 2 of them, Mr. Kagabo Twaha and Mr. Rwanga. These honorable people have been bribed to portray a picture.
If you don't mind, let me hold you very briefly there. When you employ words like rogue, dishonorable, I do understand that the National Unity Platform has standards that you might use in order to classify an individual as rogue or dishonorable. But for purposes of national discourse, dishonorable and rogue ought to be relative in use. Are you saying that it has been effectively found out that they are dishonorable?
Well, their abilities in English programs is a bit doubtable, but the sister televisions that entertain local dialect will host them, and you listen to them yourselves. The point is not refusal, because we have since left them. But then we must also understand why they are doing what they are doing. First, this started from the 40 million backlash of the whole parliament that had been bribed by the state with 40 million shillings. You remember the 40 million saga of parliament? That was... you were in parliament, we have discussed 40 million even here with different persons. So the 40 million saga, it started with the 40 million saga.
Can you share information on that particular issue?
Yeah, I wish as a member of parliament as well, I don't want the institution to be soiled into public. Yes, we have been fought left, right. I get 40 million as my gratuity. Even when I was LC5, we all get gratuity.
So there was 40 million gratuity,
but we get it every year.
That you get every year.
Every year.
So you are saying that a member of parliament, this is interesting, and we can understand it. You are saying that true, that money was given to you, 40 million, right?
We get every year.
No, I'm saying that time, the money Twaha Kagabo took back.
What?
Yes.
We decided maybe...
So you are accepting there was 40 million that you have classified as a gratuity, right?
The money took was not gratuity.
Yes. And this is what...
That was possible another argument which I don't know.
What the MP is saying...
million...
No.
That even this June, we are going to get it.
That 40 million...
We are not the only ones.
That 40 million...
Yes.
That 40 million was dirty money. It was termed as gratuity, but I want to tell you it was dirty money. That is why I am telling you, giving you the genesis of where we found the problem with a person like Twaha. And I'm being honest. So let my and the public, because we really want to get to the bottom of this, where we have been castigated as probably the secretariat is too harsh, it is too rude. We had a meeting, okay, and our colleague members of parliament accepted that some of them had been tricked into picking this money. Gratuity money goes onto somebody's account.
Yes.
This 40 million was picked at Anita Among's, with the whims of Anita Among. Some was picked, both opposition and the NRA. I don't want to be here and defend anybody, because we are discussing matters rectifying the sanctity of our nation and the doctrine of separation. I have heard you yourself castigating parliament with a lot of weaknesses that tend towards corruption.
Yes, I do.
Yourself.
I do.
So,
I do. And I will never apologize.
In your eyes and your opinion,
yes,
those have been your limitations. We have gone wider in discussing the problem. I was telling you, now, such a person who goes on, who crosses to another institution or another political party with the criminality is not honorable, because this was something I have told you that the genesis is from the 40 million. If you can all recall where we got challenges with the Honorable Twaha Kagabo. So if they had crossed with a different opinion of understanding of the political terrain and desires, that is acceptable, that is understandable, because the freedom of movement, the freedom of speech cannot be only curtailed to these other freedoms we yearn for, but even in our own political parties, people must be given the opportunity to move. But also at what moral, I moved from the Democratic Party.
All right, perhaps for context here, because we might be discussing the National Unity Platform's very internal matters on how,
because we are the reflection of the higher ground of the opposition.
People be allowed to switch when they want?
And exactly that is what I was telling you. I was giving you.
Why does the National Unity Platform, for example, speak like switching from NUP to JEMA, this is now for debate purposes, is an act?
Feel free, like to PLE, because one has switched.
It's an act, is an atrocious.
So
why do you look at it as an atrocious act?
I crossed from the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
So I cannot be here and say that I feel it angering, but I've told you the parameters, if it is done out of dishonest. For example, as I was leaving the Democratic Party, I had an intellectual discuss with Norbert Mao. We had a discussion, a one-on-one, and I told him that, you know what, I resigned from the position I was holding, because after my discussion with him, I said, no, I cannot hold office anymore. I put in my resignation. Free will. Okay. So if you are living with a difference in opinion, a difference in moral stand, a difference in ideological belief, then please, everybody ought to move, because as I speak now, we also mobilize people to cross from other political centers to our political divide. We have had many of them. We don't bribe. We don't bribe.
No, I'm not saying you bribe, but you use covert means, and they could include anything.
The covert means that we use is to employ. No, we employ our leadership abilities of aspiring to inspire the public to this industrial noble action of having change in status quo, and many of them fall suit of the same. But I wanted to say that where is the problem? Now, for me, I can tell you that part of the problem has been the capacity of the leadership, given the background of how things have been developed over time by this decade system. So what we have done as the National Unity Platform, one, is to build capacity. We have gone full range to finding ways of building capacity of future leaders and current leaders. Our training school, I'm very certain that in a few months to come, it will be fully fledged and operational. where we are going to look at training, because we have discovered that building capacity must be done through training. I have told you, if you look at the 19 councillors of Rubaga, many of them have a different stand. If you look at the many positions our members of parliament had as they were entering parliament, as some of them were being, the machinations of parliament, desirous to stall the new Uganda, but they stood forth, and they have done us a good service, and we look forward to many more fruits. So I believe that crossing would not be the problem, but the mens rea one holds before the actors rows in carrying out the actual crossing is what is important. In NUP we give no invitation card, therefore one can come and one can go because we have a stable foundation. Investigation team zero down on 4 persons. Okay. But these 4 persons, these 4 councillors, are also going to be given an opportunity to be heard by our system, because as I said, the doctrine of fair hearing, in Luganda the translation is that tosala gwakawala but olide gwakachi gwakalenzi. So we have gathered credible information about a few of our councillors. We will hear them and then we will make a determination. The advantage now that we have as a party is that our party constitution is now fully operational. It was gazetted. Congratulations to us. We didn't have no hinge interruption from court, because somebody is supposed to be given opportunity to go to court and contest and do that. We did not have any of that wahala. So now even our disciplinary system, because then it was difficult for us to act outside a document that is under review, especially in matters concerning discipline. We could only act on temporary matters that can you sure that your actions that you are giving, the remedies will only build a better person after rehabilitation or reconciliation of his character or her character. Honorable,
I'll be coming to you shortly so you can submit on his submission. Yes. But allow me ask this and be very swift and pinpoint in giving us an answer. Aren't you being unfair, both to me as a moderator and the viewers out there, for allegations that have caused so much of a storm about the switching within the National Unity Platform? You're telling us your investigations have been done and you're going to give them an opportunity to explain. Yet you have allowed this narrative to form within the public eye. Yeah. Isn't that unfairness to your own party members, that you can allow a narrative of guilt to form against them, yet you're still requiring them to offer you their side of the story? No.
I have said, and this is all fairness, I have said our investigate, because first it was as if the entire NUP councillors caucus had crossed to the NRM. That was how it had been depicted, and we got very much interested. We were asked to finding the truth on ground, and I have said that our teams so far by this morning, and when I say by this morning, I am telling you I have inquired from the highest office that runs the investigation system of our party, and I am aware, I can tell the nation that 4 people whose names, by the way, I have not even given to you, and that was deliberate. I have the names, but I've said the system has found that 2 people may have a case to answer, and they will be given a fair hearing, like many of them have. They may have done it. First of all, are they willing to even get a fair hearing? This comes because a leader you must understand why they were involved in a particular act. That is the doctrine of the rule of law. It is the minimum standard that you can give them. So yes, I want to assure the nation that we are a party that follows rules. That is why even where people like Kagabo, that we have lacks chair evidence, we have it is glaring evidence, and Luanga, we have not to the public eye's interest acted, but it has been as a result of making sure that we don't give the NRA what they want. taking us through a tedious legal process by stalling our systems, so we had to wait for our constitution to be fully operational. And yes, it is, and I'm very certain, I can give guarantee to the nation, we will bite, and when we bite, it will be very poisonous.
Honorable, what do you hear of his submissions?
He says very venomous if they choose to bite. Yes, venom can be spat. And now,
you have the antidote as NRM?
We have our own mechanisms within NRM,
okay,
and not as punitive, because this is a political party. You don't have to have gruesome discipline, as though, the Catholic Church, I want to say, is one of the few religious institutions which is strict and yet so laissez-faire. Okay? And this is why possibly we have over 3 billion Catholics
across
on the globe. Now, Article 71, multi-party political system. Now, a political
that
party.
Article 71 of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution of Uganda.
Okay.
To me, Article 70 is almost redundant, because we don't have the movement political system. Now, what does it say? What are some of the principles? Every political party shall have a national character. So when I see my younger brother, my son, is a replica of a semblance, maybe not a replica, a semblance of a national character within NUP, because it's from Eastern Uganda, and we hope all parties should be so. And NRM is one with that kind of thing. If today I sat here discussing with him, but I'm from Western Uganda, people will say, after all. Okay? After all.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to buy that.
You don't want to buy, but these are realities. You may not, but these are realities. Somebody would say, after all, why it is something which is there.
You are effectively saying the national resistance movement character is Western.
No, I am saying, to the eyes of the people, I have had such discussions. I've had such discourses on the media, different media, possibly not only here. And
you feel comfortable to propagate that narrative?
Not propagating it, but what is the feeling of people?
Okay.
Somebody, let me give you another quote, because you are, all of us here subscribe to Christianity. Why do you think Judas Iscariot almost remained alone? One, when that expensive oil was poured on Jesus, what is his comment, and what is the rebuttal of Jesus? Because Judas Iscariot, of all the 10 disciples, he's the only one from the southern part at that time of Jesus. I want to give you this.
All right.
That it happens. Now, the second,
quickly,
membership of a political party shall not be based on sex, ethnicity, religion, or other sectional divisions. Possibly, if we went by what the Constitution prescribes us to be, my younger brother should know that you cannot mint very punitive actions on errant members.
On errant members.
No. Including, we have suspended you, especially when the party like his, very vibrant party, one which has grown very fast, and I can see it. I can see it. It's one which has caught up with a lot of fire. Very good. But I think where they are failing is how to craft the internal mechanisms, internal discipline, internal ideology, and bring up themselves to say, Chris, like we do in NRM, if I am errant, or Chris is errant, sent Elder Musila, let him, we talk to him. What could have been the case? Is it mudslinging? Is it what? I have studied the systems and been there in CCM in Tanzania, and I've seen that kind of thing. The soft approach, you can see that you don't have to coerce someone, even when within the same way the Catholics do. They will leave you, but they can get a way of talking to you, and they bring you up to. Now,
quickly, I have 2 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that. The matters pertaining our political exodus in this country. It's a normal issue. Actually, like before,
we shouldn't find offense in
no
switching.
No.
Okay.
How many
others he is concerned about the underlying aspects of that process, the dishonesty.
The fact of money is attributed to
the apparently money, but also there is a fear that I see, the fear that political party secrets could also
in the NUP the level of secrets is on what we call a need to know basis. So I can assure you, if I was even picked by the system, they would find nothing.
You walk like
because the need to know basis is very effective. In our
I don't think so.
Can we wrap this conversation?
Yeah,
because we are at war.
All parties spy on each other, and we do that kind of thing, and we can penetrate very deep. And around the world, that is done. They do also spy on NRM, and being a very big, massive party, they do. And but we also know there are secrets, depth. Actually, what we would call the nitty-gritty within. We know. We know, and
ask Rakojo.
And we can use those weaknesses to penetrate and know what they think.
Please, 25 broadcasting seconds, and I'm very strict on that. Wrap this up for us.
I can only tell the country that our generation of vision bearer, His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, is still doing the noble duty of profoundly highlighting the plight of those that are struggling to have a better Uganda. It should be everybody's interest in this country to stand up for what is right, what is moral, because this is our nation. All the decadence that is befalling onto us in all sorts of mannerism is as a result of those of us who have been running with the escapism of eliticism, comfort, to come out and play the noble duty in nurturing where this nation must go. We believe let's all do what is right to have a better nation for God and my country.
Thank you very much, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, spokesperson of the National Unity Platform. Honorable John Musila, where can somebody find a copy of the Common Man's Statement?
No, you can't get it. This was donated to me by an old man who was in Nakivubu at the time President Obote was shot. The attempt on him, you can't. Maybe online, but I keep the original copy.
Okay. There are copies. There have been copies.
I don't know.
Only that
political
education.
I'm saying the vintage copy, because
the vintage. Yes, this is. I'm keeping the vintage copy. The way you have seen, I've stitched it everywhere.
All right. But we can access the one online and ensure that we can read.
Yeah, the most important is that this country must move forward, and all of us should be conscious. And with NRM philosophy and ideology and the principles, we are able to take this country.
Again, are you leftist? Are you capitalist? Or you are both?
For the
in accordance with the NRM.
All right, that's a conversation we can have after we have
the golden, the golden.
All right, way. Gentlemen.
The Western world, Babylon, Christian does Pan-Africanism. We are Rasta. That is all, and we are black people, original people, but above all, nataka niseme tena watazamaji wangu kutoka eneo bunge langu kule Bubulo East na Misindo District, karibuni tena. You are welcome to this morning as we cruise through issues of our politics of this nation. Many people think that, you know, when you talk about politics, you are simply a propagandist. I want to say, a disorganized polity, a disorganized failed polity or politics ruins the whole nation. Those of us who have seen this, we know. This is why we keep talking to you. We keep mobilizing Ugandans to have the conscious and the consciousness that we must stay afloat, alive, and proper in politics. I want to thank you for that.
Okay, thank you very much for that preamble. Now we come to this discussion on the backdrop of allegations that some members of the National Unity Platform, specifically councillors from within Kampala metropolitan area, have apparently switched and received money. Morning at NTV, or NTV for that matter, is yet to verify these allegations, but have reported on the speculation as told by other people who are news makers. But what's your reading of the current political landscape right now in light of what appears to be a little bit of smoke we are seeing? Where is the fire?
Exactly. These days you can have smoke without fire. In the laboratory, when burning acids and whatever, there could be smoke without fire. But the original smoke we know is always out of fire. And when it comes over, any government would wish to hold tight its own power.
That's right.
We have seen governments, about 24 governments, or so, I mean, it's sort of 8 governments in 24 years.
24 years.
From 1962 to 1986, around there. 24 years with 8 governments. On average is about 3 years. On average, by the way. That is 8 divided by 24. Now, certainly, switching a party has no problem. You go, even the constitution we have today. You join a party with your free will as a Ugandan, and you can leave it that way. Nobody is supposed to condemn you, not at all. And it has never happened. The president of this country himself appears in several. He was in the DP.
He was a member of.
He was in the UPC. And Fronasa, UPM, and now NRA, NRM. You get me right?
That's
so
right.
You could rebrand again, and there is no problem rebranding. I think our neighbors, Kenyans, have known that somebody can rebrand for you. Within 2 years, he has switched to 3-4 political parties. You have here Rainbow
Alliance.
Then the other day is Ford Kenya, Ford Asili, what not like that. So equally, the only consistent party with consistency I've seen is DP, and it has been around. It's one of the earliest and the most historical here.
That's right.
But certainly between 1946 to 1962, we had so many of them. A tumult of them coming up. For example, the Uganda National Congress, if you delve into our history. Now, within only 10 years after the Uganda riots, and it had to break into factions. UPU, Uganda People's Union, then later on UPC, those which took us to independence. But even after that, even UPC itself, you saw in history, in the UPC, Bingira side, UPC, which has the person like that. So to rebrand, to cross, to switch is very normal. Extremely very normal. But don't target more only money. While money is a fluid to it, but what do you want? What is your
later we shall understand the role of money in people getting to switch from one party to the other.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, economics does determine pretty much the conduct of so many things, including factors of production, and you really cannot blame because at any one point in time, Chris, again, you could also switch from here to BBC. No doubt about that.
Oh yeah, that is true.
We should pray about that.
Yeah, given your depth of knowledge, there is no problem. You can do that, and I see it, and it's going to happen. I mean, you have come to that level anyway. It's not a discussion.
Yeah, I'm humbled. Yeah. So right now, as we speak, there is tension as a result of fear, especially for those that claim people are moving away from to the other. what is happening underground is something that we are still trying to dig, so we can have the proper, picture of how much money, whether there is actually money that has exchanged hands. But why is there animosity when it comes to switching? Why are we so hell-bent on seeing it as betrayal when one person switches from one party to the other?
Do you know when you are betraying others that, and you are sure that they don't feel it? Especially if you are at leadership level. You see? Like we say in Rasta, everything we do, wrong, right, Jah writes on the wall. And the biblical wall, the biblical wall, the writing on the wall was biblical. These days you are handset, you have a wall there to be written on. But the most important is clarity and focus. As you begin in its infancy, the party must develop an ideology, must develop a philosophy, and all this must be very mobilizing. Very mobilizing. The most recent, possibly you were too young, but when NRM comes up, yes, usually most the pre-NRM parties in Africa had also the coercive arm, and the NRM, I think, is the NRA is the last in this country to have the coercive arm. Very many movements around the continent today don't have the coercive arm. Yes, you are a political party, you have the coercive arm. Now you can beat your people into a line in the case coercively, by the way. The military wing is there to do that. The ANC, the NRA, NRM, and many others you have read about. So the most important is that. But where there is nothing like that, the second arm, the coercive arm, is not there. Then you must get yourself proper into proper rhetoric, proper focus, proper ideology. You see, and develop a philosophy to take you forward. Do not have to become reactionary to 1, 2, 3, 4 sporadic problems. I mean, that is very wrong. And this is what killed, if you delve again into history, what killed Uganda National Congress, UNC, in the especially 50s, was just that. You are reacting to something. In Bugisu, you have the landslides, so you react to that and it becomes a problem. You are blaming government, you are blaming a sitting government. Now, suppose it goes out, what else do you use to mobilize yourself? And this is what we see today. NRM has been focused. If you check the 10-point program, the philosophy and ideology is clearly spelled out. Just unfortunately, the UPC couldn't live longer because of the forces of the time, and at international levels, by the way. Babylon is ever. I mean, you saw me in parliament.
By the way, we should be very honest about the Uganda People's Congress. You might say it failed, but we could say categorically the founders, the stalwarts, the supporters failed to notice that the ground beneath had shifted. And that is something politicians grapple with.
And you know, we are here to analyze history. The circumstances then, even if it was President Museveni, he would have had problems at the time. Because the forces which left us, the imperial colonial forces which left us at the time, had tentacles back into us. And in movement, those who survived that purge, like Nyerere, like Kaunda, quite very few. But the most radical ones, at the time we had what we call the radical Pan-Africanists, and then we had also the soft ones, and they were divided into two. The Casablanca group, belonging to Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie, the Obotes, the man from Nkroful, Osajefo, Kwame Nkrumah, and many others. All of them, most of them went through coups, or assassinations, or anything like that. You should know how many times Kwame Nkrumah was attempted on through assassinations, including the closest bodyguards.
It usually happens from within the inner circle.
Usually, no.
Most of the time.
Insecurity, the worst, when you are a leader, the worst enemy you have is your bodyguard. If you didn't know that. This is why when you see the formations of the president and many presidents, there are so many rings watching on each other. So the worst enemy is your bodyguard. You saw recently in Uganda with this minister from northern Uganda who was shot by a bodyguard. You saw Obote when Sebaduka.
Was that attempt?
Sebaduka is the one who shot. Sebaduka has his grandchildren in the army here, but he shot. You saw Isaac Rabin of Israel was killed by a bodyguard. So the first, and in intelligence, the worst is your bodyguard. That is another topic.
That's another topic. But
I want to say
very quickly
that the movements, the alignments, and the thinking, the polity of the time in the 50s, 60s, 70s for radical Pan-Africanists like Obote and others, it was very dangerous for them. But the point I wanted to make, there are two governments in this Uganda for all this time which have come out with a clear focus through the Common Man's Charter 1968-69 and the declaration and the move to the left. I hope you have seen that book. I've
read the Common Man's Charter.
But I carry it in its original form. Then the second government in this country, in our history, which has made a hallmark, is NRM with the 10-point program. This is why I stick. You can talk of 5, 17, whatnot. But eventually, I am happy that the president now has come back to realize the original ideology of the 10-point program.
After more than 30 years.
Oh, don't mind.
You're welcome to Morning at 10 TV. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, spokesperson of the National Unity Platform.
I am very, very humbled to be here.